And can you see that broadcasting or not? Yeah. Or maybe I did not share my screen. Wait. How about now? Yeah. Myself. Good? Yeah. And I passed to you, Jim. I give the control to you. There's switch.
You're about a full minute behind it. Yeah, no, it's gonna come soon. It just hasn't caught up yet.
There's switch. I share your screen. Wait.
Interesting. I'm saying down the line. Now they're presenting.
No, it's not showing.
How about now?
I'm doing all kinds of fun stuff. I'm just not sure. Yeah, down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then it just drops back to the
Where's that? I'm just presenting
that's just sorry showing up.
Yeah.
No.
Well, you can hear me. You can hear me flip like you can.
It's not maximized. It's still the whole screen.
Yeah.
これその画面共有が全体に行きますので。はい。共有しています。なんかさっき音声が出てますか？はい。それははいにしました。And please mute your microphone.
All right. Welcome everybody to the Americans now. Yeah, that is Meetup. And today, I believe there should be 5 or 4 more people should come, and we are missing one speaker at this moment. But anyway, we have a special guest today, a guy from the logistics, and he is showing his product. And we also have the barista at the end that you can order a coffee, and you can pay as much or less as you want. And I just pay 500 yen just for your price. And it comes with chocolate. And the drinks, there's a free drink outside. This tasty drinks. And the restaurant can be beyond the buildings. If you go out, and on the right hand side, you have the elevator, and left hand side, you have the restaurant. All right, so let's start.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. I'm Satoru Yamaguchi, working at Infragistics as a sales engineer. Today, I'll talk about UI library, which we are providing for developers, .NET developers. So I'll give a quick introduction of the UI library, which can be used in ASP.NET MVC project. And then I'll give a small demo developing rich application based on ASP.NET MVC. And I have to say this at the first, my
Hello world.
No, it's doing something.
That's good.
And it's not freaking out. Hello. You have to wait like 25 seconds for my audio to come. Hello. You have to wait like 25 seconds for my audio to come.
After you slide longer.
Okay. Well, hi everyone. I didn't become a speaker today until yesterday.
Thank you.
So I prepared this talk like 3 hours ago based on a topic I just randomly pulled out of like a hat yesterday. But this is something that I've done recently that I think might be a little bit useful for people who are using .NET to target many different things. And you might be thinking that I've already given this talk before. My last time here when I talked about dependency injection and how you can use it to get out of the wall that you've built for yourself when you've gone inside of the .NET standard. But no, this is the other side of the coin where you can do the other way, which I'm going to show you today. But before that, I wanted to make sure that everyone knows about this web page, the .NET API browser. So there's so many different runtimes now when they have all their own methods and stuff. So I want to know like what I can get. So let's search for some API like SSL stream. And it shows up there in real-time filtering. And here's the documentation page for it. And if you go down to the bottom of the page after everything, then you'll see this portion where it says, oh, this is where you can actually use it. And before, this was badly updated. And this today seems to be okay. You can use SSL Stream in .NET Core 1.0, 1.1, 2.0. The only thing that's not on here is the version of UWP that it goes into, which is a bit odd to me, but UWP follows pretty well along with it's the only platform that's badly trying to catch up to the .NET standard at the moment. Finally supports .NET Standard 2. So previous versions of UWP and Windows 10 cannot use this API because it's only on .NET Standard 2.0. But anyway, that being said, let's go over here and look at this wonderful project that I've created. I have a program, and it creates an instance of something called multi-target class, and then writes the get writable directory from it. This is just a simple thing like this. And you can see, if I just get rid of this for a second, that it's just going to return the environment.get folder path. And you can see that this is a .NET Standard 2 class, .NET Standard 2 library. So very, very, very well. Here is another project. This is a .NET Core 2.0 app, and it's using this library. So wonderful. Let's run it. You can see that the My Documents folder on Mac resolves to the user's home directory. I guess that's where all the documents go. Mac users don't believe in folders. Forget that. All right, fine. That's all well and good, but then, so you're developing this library, and suddenly your boss or whatever says, hey, we've got this customer, and they hate upgrading, so you want to support .NET Core 1 also. So you think, okay, well, fine. I'll just go ahead and change this to it. And you could do this a different way than I'm doing it. You don't have to actually edit the CS project file. I just do it because it's fast. But when you save it, it'll re-download the stuff that you need, like the SDK, and you'll get, oh no, what's going on here? Could not restore packages. Wonder what's going on there. Let's check down here at the bottom. See if I can zoom in on the problem here. I happen to know what the problem is. Just here. Oh dear. Project multi-target lib is not compatible with .NET Core app 1.1. Because Project multi-target lib supports .NET Standard 2. Oh dear, what should I do about that? All right. I know. Excellent. I can just drop the .NET Standard version. Great. Let's build it. Oh, what's happened now? Well, dear, let's go back to this page that I mentioned before. And notice I'm on the .NET Standard 2 page. You can drop down here, and you can search via any runtime that you want, the Azure SDK, ASP.NET Core, Xamarin, Mac, whatever. And so, okay, environment get folder path. There you are. This one is the one that I'm using, the one argument. Oh, let's see. .NET Standard 2.0 only. What can I do? I'm in a pickle now. So, well, I can do what I said before. I can make another project and compile it twice, which is what you had to do in the past. I can make a dependency injection and say, hey, bring your own, writable directory resolver interface implementation. And that's what I do at work, actually. I have people bring their own implementations. But, you know, there's this new feature in the new project format that I can say, I want to go not target framework, but target frameworks. Now, suddenly I have 2 projects in one. So let's go back here and see what I did before. Now, depending on which you've compiled, this is a lot easier on Windows, by the way, because on Windows, when you do this, and you have the up here, you usually have the, you can select the project that you're trying to build. It'll show up twice in Visual Studio, once with parentheses net standard 1.3 and once with parentheses net standard 2.0, and you can select which one you're building at that. But on Mac, it only builds the first one on the list inside of the IDE. So if I have this, I'm building for .NET Standard 1.3, since that's the one that's first here on the list. So I get this automatic define here, net standard 1_3. So I can do some conditional compilation. And if the user happens to be dumb and running on .NET Core 1 like they shouldn't be, then I'm going to punish them by returning get temp path. Okay, now let's run it again. Everything should be building, all right? Yep, build successful. Hooray, I'm saved. And now you get this folder instead. But I don't care, because that's just a reason for them to upgrade. And I think that if I switch these orders around in here and put .NET Standard 2.0 first, then inside of multi-target class instead, you'll get this one highlighted instead, because now this one is not defined. It's actually now a different .NET Standard 2_0. But you'll notice now that the project can't run anymore, because Visual Studio for Mac isn't smart enough yet to figure out that it has 2 targets down here that it can choose from when it builds this one up here. Instead, it just says, I can't do it because it's .NET Standard 2. But I think on Windows, it can figure it out automatically. So I just don't have a portable Windows machine to bring here and show you. So anyway, that. End of my presentation. Nice and short, right? Good. Any questions?
So what's your recommendation? Anyway, if we start building something new, we stick with .NET Core 2?
Yes.
Or is there any reason why we want to use 1.3?
Well, you're talking version numbers of .NET Standard now, but if you're making a new library, yeah, I guess it depends on it. The one question that you would have to ask yourself in this situation is, do I want to support all the current versions of Windows 10 or just the newest one? Right. Because every major platform runtime out there now supports .NET Standard 2.0, Xamarin Mac, Xamarin iOS, Android, and everything that matters anyway. I mean, Windows Phone doesn't, but nobody's using Windows Phone as Windows Phone anymore. They're all using it as UWP. And UWP gained .NET Standard 2.0 support in the latest version of Windows 10. I know that sounds really weird, but the UWP version is somewhat tied to the release of Windows 10 because of the way that it's distributed through the vendors to the tablets and the phones. It's not like regular .NET Core, which is just like, oh, the user can just upgrade it themselves. You can't do that on Windows Phone and Windows. Well, you can do it on Windows Tablet, but you can't really do it on Windows Phone. Windows Phone is really like hardcore. We have these features in the hardware, so we can't expose them in this version of Windows 10. We have to make a new version of Windows 10 and not support that phone on it in order to move forward. So if you want to support all the versions of Windows 10, you have to drop down to .NET Standard 1.4 is the highest you can go. But if you don't, and we don't at Couchbase where I work, because the end of life is coming up this year for all of them except for the most current one. And I checked very thoroughly to make sure that, I'm not leaving anyone high and dry. I probably still am anyway, because people will continue to use it after it's not supported anyway. But they're just not nice, and I won't pay attention to them.
Another question is, how did you figure out this workaround?
Well, I already knew about multi-targeting, so I wrote this problem just to get around it. But I learned about multi-targeting basically just by searching for, like, how do I use X API in .NET Standard Library? And some people, they suggested, and I eventually got to an article about multi-targeting. You can find a little blurb about it in the somewhere in Microsoft's documentation talking about the new project format. Mm-hmm. I bet I can find it real quick. It's a page called Target Frameworks. And then how to specify target frameworks. And then you get down to a little bit farther down to here, around the middle. It lists here, the following library project targets APIs of .NET Standard and the APIs of .NET Framework 4.0 and 4.5. Use the plural target frameworks element with multiple target frameworks. And this is another cool thing that you can do. You can specify, if I'm targeting .NET 4.0, include this, but if I'm targeting .NET 4.5, include this stuff. So I guess this gives me ideas for future talks, but if you really want to open up the flexibility of your project, you should learn how to edit this CS project files by hand. I promise it's not as scary as editing like an Xcode project or something.
Yeah, this should be way easier.
Yeah, Xcode is basically a black box, but this is really easy now. It used to be not so easy. Now it's really easy, especially with packages. It got a lot better.
All right, any other questions? No? All right, thank you. Yeah, because the developer troubleshooting part is very important. Find a way to get through, right? I just wondering if Jim just tried to search online or if he attending some special kind of the trainings to give all the updated information.
Nope. No special training for me. I get everything from Google.
Okay. I say Bing. Google.
What?
What?
What's Bing?
What? All right, so I guess I'm the last speaker of today, and I'm showing how I'm creating the attendee registration application, which you guys check your face in. And it's kind of easy when we use the cognitive service. For Microsoft or IBM or Google, we have kind of the services you can use to register your face, train the model, and sending the similar picture of your different face, even with a glass on or a hat on or caps on, then it still recognizes who you are. That's a basic, the face API, the cognitive service. I think Amazon also have that as well, right? And but the thing I'm talking about today is something slightly different. So this is a code behind of the project I'm writing, and I just show you how the application looks like. So when I launch the application, it's going to the meetup.com to get in all the data of the latest meetups. So on the left-hand side, we have all the attendees who are RSVPs, but not everybody coming to the event, obviously, right? So I really want to track down who really came or not. So that's this application comes in. And this camera keeps looking at me and see if my face is registered or not. If this is registered, it pull down the user ID from meetup.com and puts that RSVP information back to the Cosmos DB. So as the application said, this is my 8th time to be here. Let me just reset. And nice thing is, because we store all the information to Cosmos DB, we can easily identify who is a newbie, who is a veteran of this meetup. And my plan in the future here is sending the notification to the veterans that this guy is new to this meetup, so that please talk to them to get familiarized, something like that. So that's the plan. And now back to implementation, how we are doing that. Let me just. So this is more like top-bottom approach. I did not separate the classes in the detail because this is a very simple application. So when initializing, I'm just initializing the media capture, which capturing the camera to the screen. So the screen you saw on the application is actually media capture. Then I'm calling this face detector. So when we think about how we should use cognitive service, we are charging you guys every call to the cognitive service. I don't know, every 10 calls, every 100 calls, but anyway, when you consume the web service, you have to pay, right? And imagine application keep running, regardless there is a people in front or not. So keep taking the picture of nothing and send the data to the cloud, which still costs you, right? And do you like it? Maybe not. And you want to take the picture only when there is somebody in the picture. Otherwise, you don't want, right? So UWP has a nice feature called face detector. So this guy, what this guy does is it detects if there is a face in the picture. Yeah, some idea, right? So what this application does is it takes the picture every second and checks if there is any face inside this picture. If nothing, do nothing. Take another picture. If there is a face, it's sending to the face API to see if it's already registered or not. And the trick here I'm doing is if we have two faces or more than two faces, I do not send a picture to the cognitive service. That I just skip implementing something complex. What I should have done when we see the multiple faces on the picture is what we can do is we can just get the largest face in the picture, assume he's on front of everybody, pick up the face and send to the service, or we can keep getting all the faces in the one picture to keep sending to the cognitive services. That's up to you. So this face detector is coming from the UWP API, gives you the face position of the rectangle, like X, Y, width, height, and how many faces in the picture. That's a trick. That's why I do not consume too much cognitive service, even though I keep running the application for like 2 hours or 3 hours. We only sending the picture only when you stand in front of the application. That's how I save money, which saves your money. And Microsoft may want to use our service, but we don't want you guys to waste your money. So this is a way to, so this is a face detector. And when the application launches, it tries to load the data. And this application has 2 API, one for meetup.com, so that we can get all the data about this event, about you guys who RSVP'd. And we also have different API for the face API for the cognitive service. And another API I have to create is for the API for Cosmos DB. Because every time we check who you're coming to the event, we register or we log the RSVP to our Cosmos DB. Of course, we can directly implement the Cosmos DB connection inside this UWP application, but I just separate them out as a different, as a separate web API. So the top one is a UWP application, and this bottom one is a web API. I have a good reason why I want to separate this API from UWP application is because I would like to consume the RSVP information from different applications as well. For like, if I'm using the bot, maybe I can ask to the bot, hey, how many people coming to the event? Then, if I have a separate API for that service, I can just consume it, right? That's why I'm separating this out. But basically, we have just 3 APIs: one for Meetup.com, another for cognitive service, and another for Cosmos DB. Once we got the loading data, we get the current event from Meetup.com. By the way, Meetup.com API is very easy. It's REST-based, and you just need to pass a key, which you can get for free. Then, if there is no event, of course, there is no event scheduled. If there is an event, we can get all the event, the planned event. Then I can check who RSVP'd for this event and cache it on the local memory, because I don't want to keep getting the information from online. Once we get it, I want to keep all the event information inside the memory. This means when you just comes in and you said, no, I did not register to the event, I have to ask you to register to the event, RSVP, right? Then I have to restart the application to get all the newest data, or I need to hit the refresh button to get the latest information. This is up to you guys. If you are pretty sure you can get the most of the data in advance, you don't have to do the real-time query. If you are in the event, like people keep coming in and keep registering, you may want to check every time to the online so that you don't have to refresh manually. Then finally, we may not know how many times same person come into the application. So I do not keep logging. So for example, if I running the application again, and this guy sees me, at this point, I did not logging that I'm in the event because it's already inside the database, right? So I have to double check if I'm in the database or not. If not, I register. Otherwise, it does nothing because it already registered. All right, so for the detect face part, the tricky thing for having face detector and cognitive service at the same time is face detector taking the picture in some format and cognitive service taking the picture in different format. You know, it happens, right? Every time, sometimes we have to use the memory stream. Sometimes we have to use the in-memory random access stream. Which kind of stream anyway? But we have to convert the format depending on how you capture the image. So I'm just taking the picture, try to see if there is a faces in the picture. Once there is a face, I convert the data, in-memory data. So this is the in-memory random access stream to just normal stream, so that I can pass the data to the cognitive service. Okay, and I'm just specifying JPEG as a format by believing this give me the smaller size of the picture compared to the PNG, if I'm right. I don't know. And get the stream, and I just capture the photo by using the media capture. So media capture is a video on the application, so it keep taking the picture. Once I got the capture image, I send the image to the face detector. This is running local. This is local API. It does not connect into the online. So it's very quick. And we get the detected faces. And we are checking how many faces in the picture. If nothing, keep continue taking another picture. If there is more than one faces, I say, hey, too many faces. But the thing is, I should implement something nicer logic to handle multiple faces so that I do not have to ask people, hey, please come in to the PC one by one. Quite often time, I don't know why, but you guys try to put your face side by side, or somebody sneak behind so that we have more than 2 faces in the picture. And if you are willing to implement some nice logic, let me know. I give you the source code so that you can implement great feature here. Then once I detect there is only 1 face, then I pass the stream back to the different method. So get the reference. So here, when the application starts, it starts seeing you by saying seeing you. Then if there is a stream coming back from this detect face async, meaning this stream has 1 face, right? Otherwise, it keeps taking another picture. Finally, we are sending that information to cognitive service to see who they are, or who he is, or who she is. But sometimes cognitive service do not give me the face. Why? Because the local detection mechanism compared to the online detection mechanism is slightly different. So even though the local API says there is a face in the picture, online service may say no face in the picture, right? So we have to handle that as well. So I'm checking if there's any face by using the face any, and if nothing, just go back to continue to go back to the root so that we can take another picture. And then, if this is the first time for the guy, we register. Otherwise, we try to see the face result coming from the online service. And this face result containing who you are by having the ID. So if this is your first time, there is no data. If this is your more than 1 time, we have your ID back. And if you are not in the database, we are registering you as part of Face API. And what we need to do from the cognitive point of view, we have to train the model once we register you. And after that, we are just creating the RSVP information to the Cosmos DB. So when we think about creating this kind of application, what we need to think is, first of all, we have to consider the cost of the application. Because from the developer point of view, it's working when we test it, right? And if you put it in production and keep it running, talking to the cognitive service, you will be surprised how big amount of money you will get charged in the end of the month. And another thing you need to think about is how you detect the face locally compared to how we detect the face online. That might be different. So you have to double check the result. And another thing is you have to make sure you do not duplicate the log. So because we have no idea how many times the guy walked in front of the camera. So if we already know who he is in the database, we don't have to re-register it. And another thing is we have to train the model if that's a new face, otherwise we cannot check it again. And when we should train the model, end of the day, real time, it really depends on your scenario. If you have the gate, which guy only be able to pass once, like the very big event, live event, once you get to the live house, you cannot get out, right? Until the end of the event. Then you don't have to train the model real time. But like this application, we have no idea how many times you're going through or you are going in front of the camera, maybe 2 seconds later, maybe 10 seconds later. Then we have to train the model real time. Make sense? Otherwise, I see you guys as a newbie every time you walk through in front of the camera, right? And finally, we have to handle the exception in a good way, because I want to keep this application running, whatever it happens. Sometimes it happens out of memory, maybe not. But I want this application running as long as possible by
cautioning, do we say cautioning, or hiding the error message? Storing, yes, storing, yeah, the error message. But this is something you have to be careful. Some error message you really cannot store because you have to handle it in a good way. Otherwise, application will keep it running by doing nothing, right? So that's the small advice I can give you guys about this kind of application. All right, that's it. And whoever wants this source code, let me know because it's not published yet to the GitHub. I'm thinking about how I can publish this to GitHub in a good way. But I have different application called Attendee Analyzer to my GitHub. It does kind of very similar stuff to this one, but that version do not store RSVP information to Cosmos DB. It's simply updating the comment of the event, say, hey, welcome Jim, kind of stuff. So that, and what's wrong with that? Because it's more difficult to get the data out later, because we have to get the comment of the event to see if the comment starts from welcome to something. Because we all can write any comment, right? So that's a tricky part. And that Attendee Analyzer has two more applications inside. One is a speaker portal. Speaker portal is an application running for speaker. And we also have the Attendee Listener application, which is running your side. So the idea is when you have a question, maybe you are coming to the microphone. That microphone has a tablet, the Attendee Listener running on. Attendee Listener look at you, then using the Face API to detect who you are. That information coming to the speaker portal so that I can see who you are, including your name, your groups on the meetup.com, or how many times you're here, right? Yeah. Let's review this. And another thing that application does is whenever you asking the question in English, it's using the speech API to detect what you said and write down in the text format. And it's real time coming to the speaker portal by using Signal R, so that even though you speak in the accent English like me, I still be able to understand what you said by pretending I hear you, but I read what you said. And when I answer the question, it does the same. It picks up my English and write down the text. And as the attendee, you can see what I said rather than you can listen what I said. This is very helpful in a very big conference when I cannot see the attendee face because the room is too big or maybe the room is too dark. And another great thing to make the speech into text is because we can post in that question and answer to the comment of the event, right? So that we do not have to track what you asked and what I answered, but everything written down in the text so we can post it to anywhere, like Facebook, Twitter, or event comment. So we don't have to write it down later. So that application is available to my GitHub. And I put the link in the comment of today's event. So if you are interested in, please play with it. Otherwise, if you're interested in this Cosmos Daily version, let me know so that I can send you the link, a private link with the source code. All right, that's it for me. Any questions? No? That means you don't understand me. All right, so that's it for today. But the next meetup will be March, when the 3rd, Tuesday. Okay, so it's March 20th. By Jim saying February and March are the same days. So the next meetup going to be the 20th March, Tuesday, exactly same room, exactly same time. And what we need is we need your help. Please be a speaker. Please present your content. And please bring your friend with you. As you can see, this room is kind of nice. But if we have less people, maybe facility guy asked me to book some smaller room, right? And please give me the feedback about the coffee stuff as well. If you want him to come into the event to make the coffee for you guys or not. Any questions?
Two questions.
Yeah, Jim has a question.
Two questions. So, first question: does the Face API, what do you do about guests? Because when we make RSVP, we can choose like +1 guest or +2 guests.
Right. So the question is how we handle the guest if we keep using the RSVP information. So the other application I would mention in the GitHub have the capability to write down, the write in capability. So when you're showing your face, if the application do not know you yet, it asks you, hey, select your RSVP or enter your name in the text box below. That's one way to work around it. But from the talking point of view, maybe we should ask them to register anyway. Maybe, or maybe not. And that's the first question.
Last minute, because I met a friend yesterday, but for the first time in 6 years, he moved to Tokyo. So I said, hey, you should come to the meetup. So I thought, oh, I can just make him my guest. So he doesn't have to register in one day.
Right, yeah. That happens all the time. Another reason why I have to capture you guys all is because I have to hand over who came to the office to the facility guys. That's another reason why I have to explicitly take your information. Otherwise, I have to ask you guys to write down your name by using the physical pen, which I don't like in the IT company.
Second question.
Yep.
Do you have any decaffeinated coffee beans?
So the Jim asking the decaf coffee, that's very American.
7 p.m. event.
Yeah.
I want to drink this coffee, but then I can't sleep.
Right. So yeah, that might be interesting to bring other drinks, like not only coffee, decaf coffee and the teas. Yeah. So that's great feedback. Any other feedback or request or question? If nothing, it's time to take pictures. So let me stop the broadcasting first because we don't need to broadcast while we are taking the picture. Goodbye, YouTube.